Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Leilu Nishmas imi mirasi rusmas Mordechai. I am here live in Muncie. Muncie is huge. Muncie is a very, very large part of this year. We have Uncle Phil, Mordechai Ashkenazi, and the one and only, the stress relief pill. He tells me, Nevach, if anybody has any plumbing jobs, anything, it's hurting him. 450 Gemara so far. 450 new people that are going to watch at least a few shiurim. So, unbelievable. Tremendous hakaras hatoiv to Yossi Klein and Benjamin Schwartz and Eli Dykman, who's part of it. Eli Dykman drove from Borough Park. He borrowed this $150,000 car to pick me up from Far Rockaway, brought me to Muncie. He's going to drive me back, hopefully. And then from there, he has to go back to Borough Park. So tremendous Yisher Koyach. It's an unbelievable car. Today's shir is being sponsored by Rafi Hecht, Lili Nishmas, Ettel Malka, Bas Avraham Moshe, and from Sonny Halawani from Flatbush. Please learn to Tehillim from my grandmother, Frieda bat Chana. The machla spread to her lung. She should have Refuah shelaima. For a shidduch, for Nechama Dina bas Fraida and Chana Rochel bas Frieda. And my father's cousin, Rabbi Avraham Stefansky, a famous Rosh Yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael from Nesivos Yaakov, was nifter, so his neshama should have an aliyah. Rabbi Avraham ben Michael, zechus levracha. I was thinking, Lekavod Muncie, and it's Motzei Shabbos. We should sing a niggin here. What do you say? The whole Shabbos, I had these words going through my mind when I was singing this, but the oil has to get into it. You can't leave me hanging here solo. It's Gsmak to learn the Daf. 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 Gsmak to learn the Daf. It's Gsmak to learn the Daf. Oh, I have to say, hold on. That's you, Sonny. Wow, Shalom Aleichem. Hayoim arbos or yoim shehem shnei shavuos ba'omer or lo omer. Yishkoyach for several people came in from Brooklyn, from Queens. We have like 7-8 different people. Sonny Halawani just came in from Lakewood. Shlomi Klein from Shlomi Klein, he's not going to miss it. Shee. All right, Yishkoyach Da'olam. Do we have time? One quick email here. Missed you in Borough Park. Rebelli, I am 71 years old from East 13th Street in Brooklyn. That's where I grew up a little bit. One of the stops. Been following your daf since Brachas. I'm a really recently recovered COVID patient and don't have quite the energy back. The other day I watched a shir from Cedarhurst. Somehow I was not aware that you were in Borough Park. The Kitzer. When I tuned in 2:15, I was too tired to point it out. Even my new MDY friends guilted me out of for not showing up. I'm so sorry. Maybe next time. 71 years old. Rabbi says it's a tremendous zchus to have all of you here. It's 12:15 in the morning. You're not going to get to bed until 1:30. So thank you very much. It's an honor and it's a very big chizuk. So thank you. Thank you for reading my email, Jack Warman. Shkoyach, I remember Jack from another email back in the day. Okay. Rabbi Sai, today is Daf Chof Aleph. We're 20 Daf into Shekalim. Tomorrow is the final Daf. I believe that tomorrow's Daf I'm just going to do in Far Rockaway in a bedroom over there right before my flight to have it recorded for Eretz Yisrael. It's not as long, I hope. It doesn't look very long as the other ones. If somebody wants to join in the bedroom, let me know. We'll figure something out. Oh. We have Slurpee sponsored by Yoel Bergman. Slurpees for all. Yishkoyach Yoel. We're holding Daf Chaf Amud Beis, 3 lines from the bottom. Kohen Gadol Shemeis. Rabbi Ba Bar Mamel Boy. Rabbi Ba asked, we said it might be Rabbi Abba. Mechalfa Shitze the Reb Shimon. It seems like Reb Shimon's Shita is mixed up a little bit. Taman Omar Mishal Yarshim. Over there he says, when a Kohen Gadol is nifter, and we don't have a replacement for him, so who has to bring the Minchas Chavitim that day? So over there, Reb Shimon Baichoy, it's coming up soon. Miron. He says that his inheritors, the Yarshim, his kids have to bring the Minchas Chavitim. Omar, and over here he says Mishal Tzibur. Which one is it? Mishal Tzibur, like we had yesterday, Chak Olam. The pasuk says it should be from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, from the Tzibur. Omer Rebbe Chia Bar Ba V'lo Ye'uzu Magshi. Isn't that a great question? Top of Chaf Aleph Amud Aleph. Also Rebbe Yaakov Bar Acha Rebbe Avo B'Shem Rebbe Yochanan Devar Torah Shtei Ba Minat Tzibur. No. The fact is, it should come from the community. So what's the 2 Reb Shimons? What happened? Hayisi Omer Yigvula. Okay, tzibur means you go to the community, put out your hand, you do a fundraiser for this Minchas Chavidim. Hiskinush teiba mitrumas halishka. At the end of the day, they said, no, forget it. We don't want any tzars, we don't want things to happen. Let's go, just take out some funds from the Trumas Halishka and call it a day. So those are the 2 Reb Shimons. But not that he went, it should be Yarshim, it was always from the tzibur. Just the question is what tzibur? Either you do a new fundraiser, you go to the Trumas Halishka. Rabbi Yosei Omar, Rabbi Yochanan Boy. Mahu, Shleima b'shrachris v'shleima bein harbayim. So it says, the Kohen Gadol brought 1 in the morning. Brings 1. Or if he's nifter, so we say we bring a minchas chavidim, but don't split it up. Usually you take an isar and a flour and you go down the middle, half in the morning, half in the afternoon. The Mishnah says when he dies, we're having permission. Okay. Yep. So the question is, the Mishnah says that you should do the whole isar in one shot. But in addition to the isar, and there's okay, let me know if it's better. So the question is like this: Shleima b'shachar shleima ben arbaim. Does it mean the whole isarn? You do that twice. In other words, that day that he's nifter, you bring a double minchas chavidin. Or shleima b'shachar is ubetelo ben arbaim. Or perhaps you just bring 1 mincha in the morning and the afternoon, forget about it. It has to be at one time, the entire Yisrael once, and we don't do an afternoon one. What would be the problem with that? The problem is, there's a concept of tamid. We have tamid b'boiker, tamid ben arbaim. All of a sudden now, it doesn't say tamid, but maybe we learned the idea of tamid to the Kohen Gadol as well, and maybe he does need 2 chavitin, and when the Mishnah says it has to be shalaim, it's double. You're going to double it up. Says the Gemara, okay, let's say we're going to say that it's pasha to us that you need to bring one minchas chavitim for a Kohen Gadol in the morning and one in the afternoon, so we're going to double it up. Now, what about the other stuff? Shloishes lugim mahin. What about the oil? Do we double up the oil? Shloishes lugim shachas, shloishes lugim ben arbayim. Do we give double the regular Kohen Gadol's mincha? Because usually he takes the shloishes lugim and divides it in half. It's 1.5 lug. Or lugim echas shachas, lugim echas ben arbayim. So, assuming that you have to bring 2 menachos, maybe the oil remains the same amount, or maybe not. It's doubled up. Omer b'chizkiya. I also had a question. What about the levina? The levina goes around. There's 1 kmitza usually, and half in the morning, half in the afternoon. But maybe you double it up as well. Or maybe not. Maybe double it up, or you do 2 kmatzim in the morning, 2 kmatzim in the afternoon. Or 1 kmitza in the morning, 1 kmitza in the afternoon. It's interesting. It seems like Rabbi Yosef is answering Chizki's Shaila, and Chizki is answering Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef, you have to be gurus here. Because that we had already a sugya. It's not, we don't learn at the end of the day from Minchas Chaita, we learn from Lechem HaPanim at the end. You need 2 kamatzim. Rabbi Chizki is going to answer Rabbi Yosef. You learn the idea of the 3 lugin of oil from the Talmud. So you need 3 lugin, not 1.5. Okay. We learned by paraduma that there's no problem of using the ashes. You're not over on me'ilah. At the end of the day, the halacha should have been that there is a me'ilah, there is a isser to use the ashes of the paraduma. Behain gozru shelo yimaluba. Chacham said, it's our ashes, we'll do what we want with it. We're going to paskin like a tnai bezin, we're bima. It's okay. You're allowed to use it. Says the Gemara, and the Gemara will explain. Vatani chatos. Chatos, we said, does not mean korban chatos. Chatos means paraduma. Melamed shemayalamba. There is an Isser Me'ilah, right? Don't get confused with the word Mo'elin. Mo'elin doesn't mean you're allowed to. Mo'elin means that it's usher to do Me'ilah. Using something that's owned by the Beis HaMikdash, if you use it for your own benefit, you're Mo'el. You have to bring a carbon, you have to add a 5th. You're Oiver. We just said you're not Oiver. Ba Mo'elin, ve'im Mo'elin be'efra. Okay, on the Para Aduma, you're Oiver, but you're not Oiver on the ashes. But a second ago we said that Midoraisa, if you use the ashes, you're over. Chachamim came along and they said, Tnai and whatever it is, we're going to allow you to use the ashes. Over here it says, we're learning from a pasuk. There's no isser to use the ashes of the paraduma. Ein moyalim. There's no aveira. Omer v'avo b'rishono yimshtakshakin ba v'noisin, they were mezalzel in the afer of the paraduma. Why? V'noisin al-oisa al-gabi makisayan. It has medicinal, what's the word? Properties, thank you. Medicinal properties. If somebody has a wound, you put a little bit of the afer on it, and it heals itself. So Chacham said, this is no good. So at the end of the day, midaraisa, you're allowed to use it. The problem is, people went along and they were mezalzel. This is the paraduma. They went, they're using it for anything. Every time Hatzalah came, poof, they put a little paraduma ashes. So the Gazu Shim Maluba. So Chachamim, they're the ones that started up, and they're the ones that brought out the Isser. It's not a Deirais Isser. Chacham said, we don't want people to use this, and if you use it for your own sake, you're going to be Mayel Yoiver Isser. Kivon Shenigdaru, once they got everybody in line, everybody's behaving, Gazu Shlo Yimaluba. Then they said, there's no Isser. Why? Well, who cares? Let this Isser. They didn't say, oh, people are careful on Muktzah, and now you can do Muktzah as long as you want. We're not worried. Why over here? The answer is because people were scared to be tar. They were worried to use the paraduma ashes, because every time they went to the paraduma ashes, if they use it for themselves, they might get in trouble and have to bring a carbon. So they said, you know what? We're going to remove this Isser. There's no Isser. Now they're all good boys. They're not using it for medicine. And we don't need to make special Gdarim and Gzeros. And Memela, everything is good. Va'ala kinin. Ho'isha azois b'mei miskaperes. Oh, I forgot to bring a few charts here, I see. But okay, you remember the charts from Borough Park. So when the money of a woman falls between the two shofars, you have the shofars of the kinim and the shofar of the gezolos, the oila. We said it goes to oila. The Gemara asked the question, but then how does this woman get a kapara? She has two birds. One is a chatas, one is a oila. And the oila goes to the oila, great, but the chatas also goes to the oila. So where did she have a chatas carbon? A woman needs a chatas carbon in order to be tar. She can't even touch him. So what do we say? It's great, because a lot of our sugyas today are pure chazara. Maybe half of what we're learning is chazara, what we did before. As you remember from Borough Park, the vendor who gets a great deal, he's the one vendor that deals with the Beis HaMikdash. You know how many thousands, tens of thousands of birds a year, all the Yoldos, all the Zavim, the Zavais, the Mitzrayim, everybody, they need to use birds. He's the one. You're not going to schlep birds, catch a bird from your roof and bring. You're going to go to the Beis HaMikdash, you're going to give a few pennies, and they're going to do it for you. That guy, he has to make sure that anytime there's a bird that's puzzled, or a bird that gets lost, or in this case, the money of the Isha dropped between the two shofars, and we're machmer, we make both of her birds, her entire money, oila, so he has to give an extra chatas out of his own pocket. And with that, Hadron Aloch, Perek Moshe Nimtzu, Hadron Aloch, Perek Moshe Nimtzu, Hadron Aloch, Perek Moshe Nimtzu. Halacha Aleph, the official Mishnah, sponsored for shidduch for Dvaira Bas Leah Gittel and Dvaira Bas Suri. Says the Mishnah, Kol HaRoikin HaNimtzoim B'Yerushalayim Tahirim. Spittle. Now, spit that comes from a zav, and a zava is avatuma. It's very, very tummy. But even in Yerushalayim, most of the people there are tar, and there's a few people that are tame, and they're considered a miot shebemiot, a very, very small miot, and we're not concerned with their spit. We don't think that it's their spit. Tahirim, chutz mishel, shuka elyon. The Gemara is going to describe Divrei Meir. There's a reason to believe that in shuka elyon is different. The Gemara is going to say there's a bunch of goyim hanging around there, and memela, we're worried that it's spit of a guy and it has ziv in it, it's tummy. Rabbi Yossi Omer b'shal kol yimos hashana sheb'emtza tmeim shebatzdadim tahirim. Says Rabbi Yossi, in middle of the year, in middle of the road is tamei shebatzdadim tahirim. The people that want to keep tar, they stick to the side, they make sure they don't step in the middle. But during Yantiv, so many people are tar, you have to be tar in order to go into the Beis HaMikdash. So the middle of the road is all tar. Those who are tamei, they keep to themselves on the side. We're continuing with finding things. We discussed all different mishnayos about here. What if you find a kli? So, Shkoyach Mordechai for printing these today. If I can find it. Well, of course, it's the last one. Oh, the last one. Yeah. I did it. Here's a mikveh that they found in Eretz Yisrael from the time of Beis HaMikdash. And if you look closely, there's two doorways here. One is to go down into the mikveh, and one is to go out of the mikveh. And there's a wall. There's actually a wall. You can see the wall between the two doorways. So there's derech yirida and derech aliyah. When you go into the mikvah, before you toil the kli, then the kli is tameh. So if you find it on the stairway and the pathway going downwards, then you know it's tameh. But if you find the kli coming out, obviously there was a tefillah done to that kli, so it's tar. The kli doesn't have a siman, take it home. Like we learned the other day, Yush, it's yours. Shaloi kiri doesn't aliyasan, divrei, Rebbe Meir says there's two ways to go. There's a way to go in, there's a way to go out. They're different. So the halacha is different. Omer, kulon tahirim, chutz min asal, everything is tar. Shelaima, everything is tar, chutz min asal, besides the tool for the Beis HaKfaros. The basket, the magrefa, like a shovel, the ameritza, a hammer, hamiyuchadim likvaris. These are tools that most likely touch bones of the nifter and are tameh, and that's why you have to assume that they're tameh. Now, it's interesting that there's a hammer here. What did they do with the hammer? You know what they do with the hammer? You're not going to believe it. Gross stuff. The way they used to bury the dead back in the day, they used to put a body in like a cave, wait a little while until there's no more meat left, only bones. Then they take the bones and bury it somewhere else. So what happens, they bring the sal and they want to fit all the bones into the basket. It doesn't fit. They take a hammer, poof, they break up the bones. So I saw the Rebaz says, are you allowed to, a lot of times they dig people up and they bring their bodies to Eretz Yisrael. You're allowed to take a shovel and go like this, take the bones and throw them into a box. He brings this Gemara. He says, if it's for the teyelis of the dead, so there's not a big problem with kavod hameis. That's the kavod hameis. You see over here, you can break his bones, put him into a little basket so he fits. Because you're talking about, they had to travel a long distance and it wasn't good. Or the bones should stick out of the basket. It wasn't nice. Smash it up, bring it in. That's the kavod hameis. There's another mice I saw over there. He says, there was a guy that was buried. I hope I get the mice right. He was buried. And I saw it in the car with Eli Dykman. He's buried, and Gsmak ride. It was I thought I was on my couch. So it could be I don't have the mice right. There's a guy that they buried, and his friend dreamt at night. He says, a chutzpah, they buried me backwards. They buried me with my feet, my head towards the city. I want my feet, everybody's buried. They didn't flip him upside down, but they flipped him the wrong way. So they went to the Rabbanim over there in Hungary, and two Rabbanim said, it's not the end of the world to open up a grave and turn them around. But the Marshag said, it's not kedai. It's a small thing. It's not kedai to turn them around. And Mehechatesa, this guy dreamt this dream. You have to be soymech on a guy. Maybe Stam had a nightmare or something, whatever. And then it says at the end, it turns out that this guy once was talking to his friend and said, I almost got my enemy out of the grave and have him flipped around after he died. I want to be mevayashim. He says, okay. In terms of things you're allowed and not allowed to do with kavod hameis. Anyway, minasalam agrefa mamritza miyuchad likvaris. Sakin shenimtzes ba'arba'asar. So this is a sugya Rabbi said that we had already in Psachim. Everybody's familiar with. Besides the new guys, Shalom Aleichem to all the new guys that didn't learn Psachim. Mamish word for word. Sakin shenimtzes ba'arba'asar shoyche b'miyad. If you find a knife for shchita on the 14th of Nisan, obviously, well, we're talking about a knife, Nevach, it's a lot of money, but it has zero siman, and there's thousands of knives running around Yerushalayim. You could use the knife. Why? Because even if it was Tameh, the owner was toivel the knife. It's already the 14th, he needs to use it. So what you find on the 14th is good to go. B'shloisha asar shoynu matbal. So but on the 13th, you don't have a right to use it. Why? Because maybe the guy was going to push it off. He's Jewish. He's going to wait till the last minute and be toiled the next day. Why should he be toiled today? Kupitz. This guy, a cleaver, meat cleaver. What's its job? Not to shecht. This is to break bones, like you see in the picture. To break bones. You're not allowed to break a bone of the Korban Pesach. Remember, we learned Psachim. Can't break bones. So the guy is not so careful to have this toiveled already for what? This is for the 15th of Nisan. This is Tesvav of Nisan that he needs it. He doesn't need it for the 14th. No matter when you find it, you have to be toivel because the owner wasn't toivel for the 14th. Chalabos or lios b'Shabbos. What if, like our this year, the 14th of Nisan falls out on Shabbos, and you found the knife on the 13th, so the halacha just gets pushed off one day. In other words, sheicha b'miyad. Instead of the 14th, it's the 13th. Everybody has to put their kelim in the mikvah on the 13th, so he can have his knife ready to go for Shabbos. So if you found it the day before Shabbos, you found it on Friday, you're allowed to use it. And now we turn to Daf Aleph, Amud Beis. Yaakov Badner is here? Where? Oh, Shalom Aleichem Yaakov. Shalom Aleichem. Where are you coming from again? Cedarhurst. Maybe you don't have to drive me home. He did all that. I'm saying, think about the chesed. He goes over to a random guy in Bar Park. Listen, I have somebody I want to take. You have a nice car. Can I borrow your car? No problem. Take it. Okay. What if you find this guy? The what? Oh, I didn't say. Yeah, you're right. I just said that he's here. Sponsored by Yaakov Badner, zchus, and also by Stephen Sokolow. You look like him a little bit. You're just brother-in-laws, right? That's why the sisters married guys that look similar. Okay, got it. Zchus for shidduch for Yaakov's daughter Dina Tamar, Bas, Esther Rivka. The boys say Amen. Amen. All right, for shidduch for my daughter Saralina, Bas, Goldalea. Say Amen. Amen. All right, good. We don't want to. He's here now, say there, but the other guy's going to call me up. He's going to send me an email. So, if you find this koifetz in middle on the 15th of Nisan, sheicha b'miyad, because it's ready to go. That's what he needs. He needs to break bones, and the guy put it in the mikvah. If it was tamei, nimtzok shur l'sakin. What if you find this tied in a bag or whatever it is, or tied in a rope to the shchita knife? Harei kisakin. Sakin, we said, is kosher. It's tavel on the 14th. This is not. But since they're together, obviously you went to the mikvah one time, it's not going to go twice. And memela, you can use the koifetz. We're going to see a brisa that says the opposite. Says the Gemara, "Oven b'shem Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, katzrin shel nachrim ha'yisham." What is the problem with Yerushalayim? We said, what's the lashon in the Mishnah over there? The upper part, Elyon, Shukah Elyon of Yerushalayim, because you have the laundromats over there. They do laundry. And there are a lot of goyim, and goyim spit, and their spit has halacha of ziva. Now goy doesn't have that tuma, but chacham goys are on the spittle that it should be ziva. And memela, if you touch it, you become tameh. Omer b'chanina. Aroidos hoynoichim b'Yerushalayim. There were donkeys there that used to slaughter these donkeys, kill them, to feed to the lions. There's so much blood is up until their knees. Even though they walked right through the blood, Chacham didn't say that they're tummy. Now we're going to go into the sugya. Literally over 20 lines of Gemara that we had word for word. I think it's like Daf Yudish, Tes Yud, over there. Rabbi Simon b'Shem Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, Maisa bePreida Michel Beis Rabbi Shemesa. There was a mule from Rebbe's estate that died. V'tiru as the mel mishum nevela. We know that a dead mule, any animal that dies, is an avela. It gives off, it emits tumah, but not the blood. The blood is a suffix over here. Not a suffix, a machloikis, I should say. So over here it says that even though they touched the blood, they said the blood is not tamei. Now we have to understand, how much blood? Was it a small amount and that's why, shalom aleichem, that's why it's not tamei? Or blood of a tamei animal is not tamei, like that Mando Amar over there, machloikis. Rabbi Lazar shoel l'Rabbi Simon. So Rabbi Lazar was curious. At kama What was the story over there? Did they touch a full revius of dam and he still said it's tar? That would be amazing. Now we have a psak halacha. He didn't answer him. So yeah, as Rabbi Shmuel Levi, Omer ad revius tar. No, what happened over there was less than revius. That's why they said it's tar. Rabbi Lazar was upset. It hurt him. He hurt his feelings. He asked him a question and he didn't answer him. He should have known. Same Rebbe. He knew the halacha. Rabbi Havi Yosef Misani Odei Nuvda. Rabbi was saying over the story. It's a question. He's asking him, what's the story over there? Was it less than a revius, and that's why they said that the mule's blood is not matama? Or it was more than a revius, and even so it's not matama? What's going on? Ubad Bey. He kicked him. So some say it's not, it doesn't really necessarily mean a physical kick. He kicked him emotionally, maybe. Gave him a shtois, like he shtacht him, whatever he did. Omer Rivka begin to have a shalach at boit Bey because he asks you a question that gives you the right to give him a kick. Omer begin to lay have his daiti be. I wasn't with myself. I wasn't 100%. Omer Chanan, you'll remember this ma'isa. You'll remember this story. You remember? Who? Shlomi, you told me this in the way. Somebody was telling me. You remember this thing. A person that buys produce for a whole year, okay, he doesn't own a field. He doesn't know if he's going to have produce next year, but at least he has for a full year. He could be ruig. He's calm for a whole year. It's the same pasuk. In the same pasuk, in the Techecha, who's this guy that's going to be scared day and night? He gets stuff, but not that often. Once a week, let's call it. I don't know exactly when, but it's not once a day. It's not every day, and it's not once a year. It's in between somewhere. You're not going to believe in your own life. In other words, you're a lost cause. Somebody like Hillel Tzaddik, Hillel Zaken, used to eat, used to work, used to sell a couple of pieces of wood and make that, whatever it's called, the what is it? This type of a coin, half for his mishpacha, half. It's a person that worked every single day with complete emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's how he wanted to live. He chose to live like that. He didn't want to make more than that. The smallest coin, whatever the name was, something with a pei, tov, lamed, ayin, rei, something. Not palter, but whatever, something like that. Anyway, maybe Menachem knows, but I can't hear him. If he says something, let me know. He's talking. Yeah, what is it, Menachem?
Can't remember offhand.
Oh, for that I need you to talk. Okay, Mishkaya. You know what I'm talking about? Like that small coin. Whatever, let me show you. It's not important. It's not going to slug up this year. Okay, here we go. So, a person that lives like that, and you're talking about Rabivi, that's how he lived. So he lives with complete emunah. Shulikech min apalter. He buys off the baker. Vano somech apaltero. I buy from the baker. Now, if the bakery doesn't open up tomorrow, I don't have what to feed my kids. So he tells him, imagine living such a life. You know the pressure and this. So I'm not there 100%. So I gave you a shtickle kick. So if you recall, does anybody remember what I said when we learned it? The life lesson from here? Oh, Reb Shlomi Klein from Crown Heights. Very good. He's listening. He's not just buying produce. See, that's your sugya. That's a guy, Shlomi Klein, he told me in the car, he goes every single night and buys produce. He's the guy that lives off the plate there. But I mean, that's his business. He's not worried about feeding his children. But in other words, so we'll chazer over. See from this Gemara that even a gadol like Rabivi, he has a rough day sometimes. And when he has a rough day, he didn't treat his friend properly. And the friend had tightness on him. So he could be melamed zchus sometimes on people. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what people are going through. Sometimes they're tired, they didn't eat, whatever it is, and they give a zog, but they didn't really mean to hurt your feelings. So don't be that sensitive. My kedoin. Bottom line is, what's the halacha? Does blood of a mule, of a lion, of an elephant is a metama or not metama? Or only the very small shear of less than a revius is not metama? Hey, Rabbi Shua ben Psoira al dam nevelis shuhu tar. Any shear, 5 gallons is tar. So, says the Gemara, not a great raya. Ma'utar, tar milahachsher. And if you remember when we learned that sugi, I said, it's the most popular sugi in Shas. Hechsher tuma. I might be 100% wrong, I just like to say it all the time. Hechsher tuma. When you have you have a fruit, let's say, you have a grape, it doesn't become tameh until you pour one of the mashkim on it. Water, dew, honey, oil. Huh? Shmini. All right. All the time is mitam. It's not true. It doesn't have the ability to be machshir food. That's why a lot of people hold it. A lot of people. The Vilna Gaon holds, but it's based on the Gemara that if you eat grapes that are wet, you have to wash your hands. A lot of poskim hold like that, right? The Baal Tanya says the same thing probably. Okay, Torah Malachshir. All the time is mitame. No, not true. If you take blood of a mule and you pour it on a grape, the grape is not mekabel tumah if a sheretz touches it, if a person has tummy touches the grape. But it has the ability to be mitame you. It's mitame people. It's just not machshir. It's not one of the 7 liquids, which one of them is dam. It's not the dam that it's talking about. Because it's tamei dam. Tamot anino. Dam sheretz, remember word for word, the whole sugi, this whole 20 lines over here. Tamot anino we learned. Dam sheretz, only the dam of a sheretz min mitame kipsaroi. Mitama ve'eni machshir. It has the ability to be mitama, and it's not machshir. Ve'ein lonu kayotze boy. It's a question. It says over here only a sheretz. Once we have sheretz and I have the thing with me, I might as well show you one of my favorite pictures. Sheretz, one of these guys, anyone. It could be a toad, a mouse, riola. This is the main one over here. This guy. A lizard. The ta is the sheretz a lot of times. Anyway, so we think it's the mouse, but it's not. Only a sheretz has the ability that its blood is metama other people, other things, and it's not machshir. If the blood touches a fruit, so why are you telling me all animals? Only the sheretz. Says the Gemara, not true. What you didn't understand is that it's very different that let me see if I can find it here. The bottom of the, there we go. When it comes to regular basar of an animal, any animal, the shear is kizayis. The shear by a sheretz is a lentil. It's much smaller than a kizayis. The shear of dam of a sheretz is a lentil. So what should the shear of a dam of a mule be? A kizayis, but it's not. It's a revius. A revius is the amount that if it gets hard, it congeals, and it loses some of its moisture, then it'll have enough to be a kizayis. So the Gemara is saying that the sheretz is so special that its dam is equal to its basar. The basar, to be metama, is the size of a lentil. The dam is the exact same size. But when it comes to an animal, the basar is a kizayis. But in order to get tumah from the dam, it needs to be much larger than kizayis. It has to be revius, so when it congeals, it goes down to the size of, it will have enough to be a kizayis. So it's a different shear. What's the halacha about revius adam? If you have a full revius of a mule, a lion blood, it's matama. So Rabbi Yehuda, we explained back then, said in Beis Hillel, that we passing like Beis Hillel, that it's matama. So if that's the case, if it's like Beis Hillel, that would be the halacha. That he passing like Rabbi Yossi. Omer le Rav Avduma. I saw someone say over here that Rav Duma is Rav Dimi. We call him in Bavel Rav Dimi in Shas. It's good what you're saying. So Rabbi Yehuda was the Paisik in Rebbe's house. So that Maisa that we had with the mule that died, and they said that the blood is kosher because it was less than a revius. Rabbi Yehuda just passed in that a revius is metama, so it must be everything fits in. They passed in that you're not tummy from the blood because it was less than a revius. Kol haroikin. All the spits are tar besides the spit in Shuk HaElyon in Yerushalayim, the upper marketplaces in Yerushalayim. Like in Omer ben Chanina, like Gozra Roikim Yerushalayim, there weren't guys there at all. So what are you telling me? The guys are in the Shuk HaElyon? There weren't guys there anywhere. Like we learned earlier, there was a laundry place. The goyim used to frequent it, and they used to spit. And Memela, we had a big geyser. We're going to learn that whoever is the miut, if you're the minority, you go to the side, and if you're the minority, you have to tell other people what you are, to be careful. So, since during the regular year, most people are tamei, it says here, they walk down the shiboilas, down the center of the road. And whoever's tar, they're the miut, they go to the side. Now you have to be goyers over here. They don't have to say anything. They could be quiet. And Tahirim have to say, be careful, we're tar, don't come close to us. Regel is the opposite. When it's Yantiv, there's so many Tahirim because they all have to go to the Beis Hamikdash, they walk down the center of the road. And those, the minority, they go to the side. The Tahirim don't have to say anything and warn people. And the Tmei, we have to just flip the gears here, courtesy of the Vilna guy. We call HKBH and Sonny. Like in Omer Rebbe Avo b'Shem Rabbi Yochanan legozru al HKBH Yerushalayim. There's no gzero. Why do you have to? Why are you telling me that if kelim that go down into the mikvah the tamei? There's no kelim atar in Yerushalayim. No, since it's right there by the mikvah, it's obvious that these kelim are tamei. Somebody was trying to bring it into the mikvah and he failed. It fell out of his bag, and memela is tamei. Now it says in the Mishnah that remember they had a hammer, the Beis HaKvaros. It was called a maritza. What's a maritza? It should say hammer. What's a maritza? He had a different name, like a fingernail, sharp. Manda Omar tziparin, shudoim l'tziparin. Manda Omar maritza. Shemaritza seven the Beis HaKvaros. There's two pshatim here in the Tikul Chatin and in Karbanei Eda that they would crush the Evan, or Meritza just in Lashon Kodesh means to like move it, to get it away. Meritza is Evan the Beis HaKvaros. Run it away from there. Koifetz. Tani asaking shurla hareza kamaisa. So over here we have the opposite of what we learned, that if it's tied, the kupitz, the cleavers tied to a knife, over here it says in the Braisa that it's like the kupitz, not like the knife. The kupitz wins, and memela it's tamei. Halacha Beis, the official Mishnah, sponsored for a shidduch, the Dvaira Bas Le'Gittel and Dvaira Bas Suri. Shkoyach. Shouldn't be a minhag, because then we're going to have all these amens and Bet Shemesh. One-time thing, special for Yaakov Banner. Says the Mishnah, Paroiches shenitmes bevlad hatuma. The paroiches. You know what the paroiches is? So there's many paroiches. There's 13 paroiches in the Beis Hamikdash. We're discussing the one that, this is not accurate, this picture, but it's the one that separates it's a curtain that separates the Kodesh HaKadoshim and the rest of the Heichal. So we have Avatuma, we have a mace, that's a Vi'avoisatuma, then we have another Avatuma that's a sheretz and a person, and then anything after that is a Vlad. The sheretz touches a Kli, person touches a Kli, it's a Vlad. It's a Toitzah from the Tumah. So Paroich Shenit is Vlad HaTumah, Madbil Oisav Bifnim, says only Midrabanan Umachnisin Oisav Miyad. Since it's only a Midrabanan the Tumah, So you toivel it, and you don't have to do v'herav shemesh. You don't have to wait until nighttime like you typically wait. Miyad. But if the parochos became tamei from an av, because it's considered a kli, they sometimes wrap. They use it to wrap things with it, so it's a kli. Let's take it out of the Beis Hamikdash of the heichal. Let's see if I can find it. Sorry, it's not so organized. I don't have time to organize. The chayil, I don't know if you can see, it's a very, very small picture. But the chayil is this light brown, the beige around over here. It's between the soreg and the soreg is like that fence we actually discussed that the Yevanim came and breached it 13 times, and that's where we do the crease of Ishtachavais over there. So between the soreg and the wall of the Azara, there's a chayil. So there's benches over there, like a bus stop. Top of the bus stop, there was like a bench and then something to protect you from the elements. So they would lay out this tremendous, we'll see how large it's tremendous. It's 80 feet by 40 feet. It needed to be in the sun a little bit, to dry out. I wanted to show everybody. Oh, sorry, I skipped there. You have to, so you keep it there for overnight. Now, brand new also has to go in the mikveh. Any new kli goes in the mikveh right away. So you put it on top of the bus stop, so that the nation can see how beautiful it is. Let's see if we have it over here. I believe it's this. 72 of these heddle things. Over here in this picture, you have 3, 6, 72 of them. That's how many. And each thread was thick. Why? Over here, this Tana says that there's 24 threads that made up one thread, one string. Arka Arbaim Amma was 40 Amma, something like 80 feet. Virachba Esrim, and it was 20 Amma wide, which is approximately 40 feet wide. Yeah? 20 times 2 equals, even Panovich, they know that. Here. This, we're talking about this. Tefach thick, 40 Ammas by 20 Ammas. It was made from 820,000 dinars zov, according to one pshat. Very, very expensive. They used to do 2 of them a year. And 300 kohanim would be toivelit. And the Gemara says it's a Gsmak. And there's a very, very famous Vilna Gaon on this. We said it when we learned Kachim. I'll say it again. The Vilna Gaon says, how big is this thing? It's 40 by 40, 40 by 20. So you have 2 times 40, that's 80. 2 times 20 is another 40. So 80 plus 40 is how much? 120. Yeah, 40 plus 20, that's 60. 60 times 2 is 120. How many tfachim is that? We're talking about a kli. A kli has, we said there's 2 measurements, 6 and 5. But we're dealing with a kli, it's 5 tfachim. Every amma. So you have 120 ammas times 5 tfachim. How many tfachim is 5 times 120? 600 tfachim. Each person has 2 hands. So in Mela, the Mishnah says there's 300 kohanim that could hold on to it. Why? Because the chavivus ha-mitzvah, everybody wanted to hold it. Everybody wanted to bring it to the mikvah. So you're able to fit 300 kohanim. He says the Tiferes Yisrael. I saw this in the car. Not this pshat. This pshat is an old one, but I saw the Tiferes Yisrael. He says, it says it's a Gsmak. The Vilna Gaon didn't mean that every single time 300 people held it. You could do 300. Maybe one time it happened. But the Gsmak is that every time. Okay, fine. Should we stop here? Yeah, it's late, so I'll stop here. And we'll catch up tomorrow because it's a shorter Amud Beis. Very, very short Amud Beis. Rabbi Isai, good Tavach. Thank you so much for coming out and joining. It's a tremendous chizuk. A good Tavach. It's Gsmak to learn the Daf, Gsmak to learn the Daf. Lie, Gsmak to learn the Daf. Ay. It's Gsmak to learn the Daf, Gsmak to learn the Daf. Lie. It's Gsmak to learn the Daf, Gsmak to learn the Daf. Lie.